The atmosphere of 1972. Dale was 19. This truck wasn't just a vehicle. It was his first major stake in the world. Imagine a 19-year-old walking into a dealership and seeing that gleaming black and white two-tone finish under all the lights. The new truck scent. In 1972, that smell wasn't just plastic. It was heavy vinyl, fresh rubber floor mats, and the faint metallic scent of a brand new engine block heating up for the first time. The soundtrack. Mentioning the AM/FM radio is key. Most trucks back then just had AM. Having FM meant he could actually hear the high-fidelity country stations of the early 70s clearly through the dash speaker. I'd like to take you on a journey through a story defined by love, shattered by drama, and set against the backdrop of a world falling apart right before your eyes. In the face of the end, we find out who we truly are. This is their story, and ours. The sound. A 402 big block with dual exhaust has a very specific rumble at idle, a deep rhythmic thumping that vibrates in your chest. When he stepped on it, that 4-barrel carburetor would open up with a distinct sucking sound of air followed by a roar. The interior. Describe the feel of the vinyl bench seat. Maybe a little sticky in the summer heat until that AC, a luxury for a truck back then, started blowing ice-cold air through the round chrome vents. The maintenance. Use the image of your dad under the hood. The smell of used 10W30 oil, the clicking of a socket wrench, and the pride of a hand-polished chrome bumper. The pride of ownership. A scene where he spends a Saturday afternoon waxing the black paint until it reflects the driveway like a mirror. The family connection. A memory of sitting in the middle of the bench seat. No consoles back then. Tucked between your mom and dad, feeling the vibration of the road and the safety of that heavy steel cab. The passing of time. How the truck stayed new in his eyes, even as the years passed, because of the way he cared for it. The setting, a sunny afternoon at the local Chevy dealership. The lot is filled with the Action Line trucks and the long wood-paneled silhouettes of the Kingswood Estate station wagons. The encounter. Dale, my dad, just 19 and beaming with pride, is signing the final papers for that short bed C10. He's admiring the way the black paint breaks against the white middle stripe. A few yards away, a man is inspecting a massive 72 station wagon, the ultimate family cruiser of the era. Standing next to the wagon is your mom. Her name is Penny, and just maybe she's bored. Or maybe she's the one who notices the rumble of the 402 big block when your dad finally turns the key. Miller Chevrolet. The setting, late afternoon, 1972. The sun is reflecting off a sea of chrome. Dale is standing by the open door of the black and white short bed, checking the oil one last time just because he can. A young woman steps away from a massive wood-paneled Kingswood Estate station wagon parked 2 slots down. She looks over at the truck, then at the 19-year-old with the grease smudge on his cheek. Penny. That's a lot of truck for one person. You moving a house or something? Dale, looking up, caught off guard. Just moving myself, mostly. It's got the 402 big block. Figured if I'm gonna buy a truck, I might as well buy the truck. Penny, walking closer, tilting her head. My dad's over there agonizing over seat upholstery for that wagon. He thinks we need the room. I think it looks like a boat. Dale, grinning. Well, this isn't a boat. It's more like a rocket ship. You want to hear the dual exhaust? It'll wake up the whole neighborhood. I think the salesman is already awake enough. I'm Penny. I'm Dale. I'm just taking it back over toward the east side, near the old water tower. Penny, her eyebrows shoot up. The water tower on Maple? I live 3 houses down from the corner of Maple and 4th. Dale, freezing with the dipstick in his hand. You're kidding. I'm on 5th. I've lived there my whole life. How have I never seen you? Penny, with a playful shrug. Maybe you were looking at trucks too much, or maybe you just weren't driving fast enough. Dale, patting the hood. Well, that's not going to be a problem anymore. I've got the 4-barrel carb now. I'll be home in about 4 minutes flat. Penny, laughing. Slow down, racer. My dad's almost done. But I guess if I hear a loud rumble tonight, I'll know who's passing by. Dale. You'll hear it. I'll make sure of it. The first ride on Maple Street. The setting. A Friday evening. The air is cooling down and the neighborhood is quiet until the low rhythmic thrum of dual exhausts begins to bounce off the houses. The arrival. Dale pulls the black and white Chevy to the curb in front of Penny's house. He doesn't just honk, he kills the engine, the big 402 giving one final, satisfying huff. He checks his reflection in the chrome rearview mirror, adjusts his collar, and hops out. He's nervous. Not about the truck, but about the man he's about to face on the porch. Penny's father is already at the screen door, arms crossed, looking at the gleaming short bed at the curb. Dale, walking up the steps, hat in hand. Evening, sir. I'm Dale. We met at Miller's last week when you were picking up the wagon. Penny's dad. I remember. That's a lot of engine for a high school graduate. Dale, your father must be a generous man. Dale, nodding seriously. He is, sir. It was my graduation gift, but I'm working the graveyard shift to pay him back for the note. Every cent. I take care of my things. Penny's dad, softening just a fraction. Good. A man who pays his debts usually keeps his word. Penny! Dale's here! She sticks her head out the door. She's wearing her senior class ring and a bright smile that makes Dale forget his rehearsed speech for a second. I heard you coming from 3 blocks away. I told my dad that rumble sounded familiar. Dale. It's hard to keep a 4-barrel quiet. You ready to go? I figured we'd head over to the A&W. Looking at her dad. Is it okay? I've got my homework done. Penny's dad, pointing a finger at Dale. She's a senior, Dale. She's got a big year ahead. You have her back by 10, and you drive that truck like there's an egg under the gas pedal. Understand? Yes, sir. Like it's made of glass. The departure. Dale walks Penny to the passenger side, pulling the heavy chrome handle for her. As she climbs up into the high cab, the scent of the new vinyl and the faint hint of Dale's cologne fill the small space. He climbs into the driver's side, pumps the pedal once, and the big block roars to life. As they pull away, Penny reaches over and slides the dial on the AM/FM radio. A country song, Delta Dawn, by Tanya Tucker starts to play through the dash speaker, competing with the beautiful growl of the dual exhaust. The Sunday potluck, the setting. The backyard of Penny's parents' house. The wood-paneled station wagon is in the driveway, and Dale's Chevy is parked at the curb, polished so bright it hurts to look at. The air smells like charcoal briquettes and floor wax. The tension. Dale is sitting at the picnic table, his hands tucked under his thighs so nobody can see them shaking. He's been working at the dealership all week, and he's wearing his best pressed shirt. Penny is inside helping her mom with the potato salad, leaving Dale alone with the captain, Penny's father. Penny's dad is flipping burgers, the spatula clicking against the grill. He doesn't look up for a long time. And I hear the price of 91 octane went up again today, Dale. That big block of yours must be costing you a month's rent just to get to work and back. Clearing his throat. It's an investment, sir. I'm keeping the maintenance up myself. Doing the oil changes every 3,000 miles. She's still running like the day I bought her. Penny's dad. Maintenance is important, but a truck is just metal, Dale. A man's life? That's a different kind of maintenance. Dale takes a breath. This is it. Speaking of that, sir, Penny and I, well, we've been together since graduation. I've got a steady hand at the dealership now. They're talking about moving me up in service management. I'd like to ask for your blessing. And her mom's, I mean your wife. I want to ask Penny to marry me. The spatula stops mid-air. Penny's dad turns slowly. He stares at Dale for a long, silent minute. The only sound is the hiss of grease on the coals. He looks over at the truck, then back at Dale's eyes, with a voice low and stern. You know, when you first pulled up in that truck, I figured you were just a kid with a fast engine and no plan. I figured you'd run out of gas or interest within 6 months. The burgers are sizzling, but the air between Dale and Penny's dad is cold and still. Dale is standing stiff, his knuckles white as he grips the edge of the picnic table. Penny's dad sets the spatula down slowly. He turns, wiping his hands on a rag that's seen 1,000 oil changes. He looks Dale up and down, not like a neighbor but like an inspector looking for a crack in the frame. Penny's dad. You've got a good job at the dealership, Dale. You've kept that 402 cleaner than most men keep their kitchen tables. I've watched you. I've seen you out there at 6 in the morning checking the timing, and I've seen you at midnight polishing the chrome. You're a man who understands the value of a machine. He takes a step closer, his shadow falling over Dale. But a truck? A truck is easy. If the engine blows, you swap the block. If the fender gets dented, you hammer it out and spray some fresh paint. You can always find a part, and if you get bored of the ride, you can always find a buyer. He leans in, his voice dropping to a gravelly low. And now? Now you're standing in my yard telling me you want to take my daughter off my hands. You think you're ready for that kind of overhead, son? See, marriage doesn't have a trade-in policy. There's no lemon law for a broken heart. When the road gets washed out, or the transmission of life starts grinding gears, you don't get to just walk away and find a newer model. Dale's heart is hammering against his ribs like a piston on a high-compression pull. He feels the sweat on his neck, but he doesn't blink. A woman like Penny, she's not a hobby, she's the whole journey. She's the person sitting in that middle seat through the rain, the snow, and the empty gas tanks. If you take her out of this driveway, you're signing a title that never expires. You're promising me that when the paint fades and the new wears off, you're still going to be the man under the hood making sure she's safe. He pauses, letting the weight of the words sit in the air. So tell me, Dale, before I let you take her, are you a man who just likes the way she looks in the sunlight? Or are you a man who's going to stay greasy until the job is done? Because I don't care how fast that Chevy is. If you aren't prepared to go the distance, you leave those keys in your pocket and you walk home. Steadying his voice. I know that, sir. I treat her better than I treat that truck. And you know how I feel about that Chevy. Penny's dad holds the gaze for 3 more seconds. Seconds that feel like hours to Dale. Then, a small, crooked smile finally breaks through the stern face. He reaches out and claps a heavy hand on Dale's shoulder. Good answer. If you take care of her half as well as you take care of that short bed, she'll be the luckiest girl on Maple Street. Her mother already has the guest list started, Dale. She's just been waiting for you to find your backbone. Dale, exhaling a breath he's been holding for a year. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Oh, don't thank me just yet. You still have to pay for the ring. And with that 402 under the hood, I hope you've been saving your gas money. The road to the lake. The setting. A Saturday morning in the late 70s. The humidity is already rising, but the factory AC is blowing steady and cold through the vents. Dale is behind the wheel. Now, with the quiet confidence of a man who runs the shop and knows every bolt on every car in the county. The drive. You're tucked right in the middle, sitting on that high vinyl bench seat. Your legs are too short to reach the floor, so they kick rhythmically against the seat to the beat of a song on the AM/FM radio. To your left, your dad's arm is draped over the thin steering wheel. To your right, your mom, Penny, has her window cracked just a hair to let in the scent of pine needles and lake water. The 402 big block doesn't even feel the weight of the coolers and the gear in the back. It just purrs, a low, powerful vibration that you can feel through the seat of your pants. At the lake, Dale backs the short bed right up to the edge of the water. He drops the tailgate, that heavy, satisfying clank of 70s steel, and you scramble into the bed. To you, that truck bed is a fortress, a playground, and a front row seat to the world. While you're busy lining up your toy trucks along the wheel wells, you hear their voices drifting over the tailgate. They think you're deep in your own world. The water looks perfect today, Dale. Glad you got us out of the house. I know the shop has been running you ragged lately. Dale, chuckling. Being the manager is just a different kind of headache. Instead of fixing engines, I'm fixing the guys who fix the engines. But it pays for the gas, and it keeps this old girl on the road. He pats the side of the bed, right near where you're playing. Penny. Well, we might need to start thinking about paying for a few more things soon. There's a silence. You stop moving your toy truck. You look over your shoulder. Penny is holding your dad's hand, looking out at the ripples on the lake. Penny, what are you saying? Smiling, her voice dropping to a whisper. I'm saying this bench seat is going to get a little bit more crowded. We're going to need a little more room in this cab by next spring. Dale's face just transforms. The shop manager mask slips off, and for a second, he looks just like that 19-year-old kid at the dealership again, shocked, terrified, and completely over the moon. A second one? You're sure? Dale whispered. I'm sure. But do you think the Chevy can handle it? Pulling her close, laughing. It's a big block, Penny. It can handle anything. You don't quite understand what more room means yet, but you see your dad's look at you in the back of the truck with a look of pure, fierce pride. He isn't just a guy with a truck anymore. He's the builder of a legacy. Saturday morning ritual. The setting. The driveway on a Saturday morning. The sun is hitting the chrome bumpers of the 72, making them glow. The hood is propped wide open, revealing the massive 402 big block, a clean and powerful heart that Dale has kept beating for years. The action. You're crouched down by the front wheel, a wrench in your hand that feels a little too heavy, but you're holding it exactly the way Dad showed you. He's kneeling right beside you, his hand hovering near yours, not taking over, just guiding. Now remember what I told you. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, but don't ever force it. You treat these threads like they're made of gold. This truck has seen us through everything, and it deserves the best oil we can give it. John. Is it dirty yet, Pops? Every 3,000 miles, whether it looks like it or not. That's the secret. You take care of the truck, and the truck takes care of the family. Just then, a pair of small, dusty sneakers skids into the frame. Anna, barely tall enough to see over the bumper, dives under the front end, giggling as she tries to help by handing you a plastic sand shovel instead of a socket wrench. Laughing, catching her by the waist. Whoa there, Anna! You're going to end up with a face full of 30 weight if you aren't careful. Why don't you go find the rag for the dipstick? Anna, beaming, in that toddler look. I'm a mechanic, too. I'm fixing the tires. She starts polishing the sidewall of the tire with her sleeve, her pigtails bouncing. Dale shakes his head, a look of pure contentment on his face. He looks up at the house, where Penny is watching from the window, and then back at the two of you. The scene. The oil of a lifetime. The concrete is cool against their ribs. The smell of the garage, dust, old metal, and the faint scent of Penny's cooking from the kitchen surrounds them. Dale and John are lying on their sides, shoulder to shoulder, peering into the dark space beneath the 72. John feels the resistance of the bolt, then the sudden, smooth release. He pulls the wrench back, and the first stream of hot, dark oil pulses out, hitting the plastic pan with a rhythmic splat, splat, splat. They both stay there, lying on the ground, watching the black liquid drain out. In the low light under the chassis, John looks over at his father. Dale's face is lined with the years, but his eyes are fixed on the stream of oil with a look of deep, quiet respect. John. Hey, Pops. It sure is a lot of work to keep this old truck going. Seems like we're always under here fixing something. Dale doesn't look away from the oil. He watches it thin out, the stream turning into a slow, steady drip. Dale, his voice low and gravelly against the concrete. It's what needs to be done, John. Most people, they wait until something breaks to give it any mind. They wait for the smoke or the grinding gears before they look under the hood. But a man does the work before the trouble starts. He reaches out and touches the heavy steel of the frame. Dale. This truck carried your mother to her first house. It carried you and Anna home from the hospital. It's been the backbone of every Saturday we've ever had. That kind of loyalty, you don't just get that for free. You gotta earn it with a wrench and a little bit of sweat. It's a lot of work, yeah, but the things worth keeping always are. Hey, John, did you know your mom and I met the day I bought this? I was 19, just a kid with a fast truck and no idea where I was going. But every time I change this oil, I think about that dealership lot. I think about how this truck led me right down the street to her, and eventually, to both of you. He looks at the black and white paint, still as deep and reflective as it was in 1972. John, one day you'll be the one teaching someone else how to do this. Just make sure they use the right filter. The silent garage. The setting. An October evening. The air is crisp, and Dale is out in the driveway under the hood of the 72. The shop lights are on, casting long shadows against the white and black paint. Dale is leaning over the fender, reaching back toward the distributor. It's a reach he's made 1,000 times, but halfway through he stops. A dry, hacking cough hitches in his chest, small at first, then deep enough that he has to grip the chrome bumper to steady himself. In the kitchen window, the curtain moves. Penny is standing there, a dish towel in her hand. She doesn't say anything, but she doesn't turn away either. Penny walks out onto the porch, hugging her arms against the chill. She watches him wipe his mouth with the back of a greasy hand. Oh, dear. That's the third time since dinner, Dale. His, voice a little raspy, but trying to play it cool. Just some dust from the shop, Pen. Those old brake pads are messy. Nothing a little water won't fix. Walking down the steps, her voice soft but firm. The shop isn't open on Sundays, and you haven't been at the shop for 4 hours. You've been out here in the fresh air. Look, Pen, I'm fine. Just a tickle. Probably just the change in the weather. This engine's running a little lean. I'm just adjusting the carb. He turns back to the engine, but his movements aren't as fluid as they used to be. He's slower. He's careful. Penny reaches out and puts a hand on the black paint of the hood, right next to his. Dale, the truck gets an oil change every 3,000 miles because you don't want to wait for it to break. You told the kids that. Maintenance is cheaper than repair. He looks at her, and for a split second, the tough shop manager facade cracks. He looks tired. Not just end of the day tired, but bone deep. Dale, I know what I said. Dang it, Dale. Then apply it to yourself. I'm making an appointment, and I don't want to hear it. No arguments. Anna wants you to see her graduation, and I want you sitting right next to me. Dale looks back at the 402. For the first time in his life, the engine feels simpler than he does. An engine you can take apart and put back together. You can replace a gasket. You can adjust a valve. Sighing, leaning his weight against the truck. All right, Penny. Okay, you win. Just let me finish the timing on this first. I want it perfect for when I take the boy out tomorrow. Penny nods, but her hand stays on his arm. The rumble of the dual exhaust, usually a sound of pure joy, feels a little more solemn that night as it echoes down Maple Street. A Saturday morning, much like the ones before, but the air feels heavier. Dale doesn't head to the shop. Instead, he pulls the 72 out of the driveway and gestures for you to hop in. Anna is waving from the porch, and Penny is standing behind her, her hand resting on Anna's shoulder, watching the black and white tailgate disappear around the corner. You're in the passenger seat now, no longer tucked in the middle. The 4-barrel carburetor whistles as Dale pushes the truck up a long, winding hill. He's driving with a deliberate slowness, his hands steady on the wheel despite the persistent, shallow cough he's trying to suppress. Dale pulls over at a scenic turnout overlooking the valley. He leaves the engine idling, that deep, rhythmic dual-exhaust thrum providing the soundtrack for what's coming. Dale, looking out over the hood. You hear that, John? That lope in the idle? Most people just hear noise. But if you listen, the truck tells you exactly what it needs. Life is the same way. People will tell you who they are and what they need if you just stay quiet long enough to listen. Pops, Mom's worried. You're acting like you're saying goodbye to the truck. Dale, turning to look at you, his eyes tired but sharp. I'm not saying goodbye to the truck. I'm making sure you know how to keep it running, because one day I won't be the one behind the wheel, and when that day comes, I need to know a few things. He leans back against the vinyl seat, his hand patting the dashboard. John, look. First, your mother. She's the spark plug of this family. Without her, none of this fires. You take care of her the way I took care of this finish. You don't let her rust. You show up for her every single day, no matter how tired you are. I will, Pops, I promise. And Anna, she's got a spirit like a big block, powerful and a little bit wild. She's going to need a brother who's as steady as a frame. You be her floorboards. You be the place she can stand when the world gets shaky. He coughs, a hard rattling sound that he tries to stifle into his handkerchief. When he catches his breath, he looks at the keys in the ignition. You see, John, I worked the graveyard shift to pay for this truck. I spent 40 years keeping the salt off the fenders and the oil clean in the pan. I did it because I wanted you to have something that lasts, something that doesn't quit just because the road gets steep. John, I'll keep it clean, Pops. I'll do the changes myself, just like you showed me. It's not just about the oil, John. It's about being a man of your word. It's about asking for permission before you take a girl out and having her back by 10. It's about working a job until your hands are stained, so your family can sleep soundly. You do that, and you'll never have to worry about the direction you're headed. Dale reaches over and turns the key. The 402 falls silent. The sudden quiet is massive. He hands John the keys, not to keep yet, but just to hold. Okay, John. You drive us home, son. I want to see how you handle the corners. Pops passed away last spring, and the life insurance wasn't just money. It was his final graveyard shift, making sure that even after he was gone, Penny was taken care of, Anna had a future, and John had the foundation to build his own life. The familiar driveway on Maple Street. The house feels a little quieter without the sound of Dale's boots on the porch. But the garage still smells faintly of WD-40 and old memories. Penny sits at the kitchen table, the same place where she once sat with Dale to plan their budget. She pushes 2 envelopes and a heavy set of keys across the wood. One envelope is marked for Anna, tucked away safely for her 25th birthday, a time capsule of her father's love. The other is for John. Her voice steady, but her eyes misty. Your father spent his whole life making sure the maintenance was done, John. He didn't just care for that truck. He cared for us. He wanted you to have the means to start your own story without the weight he had to carry at 19. Mom, I don't know if I can take this. It feels like it's too much. Reaching out to pat your hand, just like your dad used to. He worked for this. Every hour at that dealership, every late night in the shop, it was for this moment. He knew he wouldn't be here to see you buy your first house or see Anna graduate college, so he sent this ahead of him. Look at me, John. She picks up the heavy brass keys to the '72 Chevy. And he wanted you to have the short bed. He said you're the only one who knows the rhythm of that 402. He told me once that as long as that truck is running, a piece of him is still out there on the road with you. A Saturday morning, 10 years after Dale's last oil change. The garage is dusty. The '72 Chevy sits under a layer of gray film. The black and white paint, once like a mirror, is now dull. A small pocket of rust has started to bubble on the rocker panel like a slow-growing bruise. John stands in the doorway, a cup of coffee cold in his hand. He's been avoiding this for a decade. He looks at the tear in the vinyl bench seat, the exact spot where he used to sit as a boy. The stuffing is peeking through like an open wound. John walks over and finally slides into the driver's seat. It doesn't smell like new vinyl anymore. It smells like damp dust and old oil. He grips the steering wheel at 10 and 2. Voice cracked. I'm sorry, Dad. I thought if I didn't touch it, I wouldn't lose you. But I'm losing it anyway. He turns the key. The 402 big block doesn't roar. It stumbles. It coughs a thick blue cloud of smoke that fills the garage, the sound of a heart that's been sitting still for too long. The engine has a skip in its heartbeat. It sounds tired. It sounds like Dad in those final months. He reaches out and touches the dashboard, right where the pad has a split. He realizes that by not driving it, he isn't honoring his father. He's letting his father's hard work rot away. Looking straight ahead, not really focus on anything. Maintenance is cheaper than repair, that's what you said, and I've let the maintenance slide for too long. I am so sorry, Pops. John catches his reflection in the rearview mirror. He sees his own eyes, and for a second, they look exactly like Dale's at 19. He realizes the truck isn't a ghost, it's a tool, and it's the only tool he has left to talk to his father. John firmly, his grip tightening on the wheel. All right, Pops, you win. We're going down to the frame, every bolt, every gasket. I'm going to find you in this engine if I have to take apart every single cylinder. The interior is stripped. The bench seat is gone, leaving the bare metal floor in the cab. John is hunched over, vacuuming out 40 years of red dirt and dried-up French fries from the corners. He reaches for the glove box latch. It sticks for a second, then drops open with a familiar metallic clack. Among the old registration papers and a tire pressure gauge from 1984, there's a heavy, cream-colored envelope. It's smudge-free, tucked into the back of the manual sleeve. On the front, in Dale's unmistakable slanted cursive, the handwriting of a man who spent his life signing work orders, is a single word: John. John sits down. His hands are shaking as he tears the seal. The paper inside is crisp. John, if you're reading this, it means the old 402 finally started smoking or the floorboards finally gave out. Or maybe you just finally got tired of looking at the dust. I knew you wouldn't drive it for a while. I knew it would feel like a weight. I'm sorry for that. I didn't give you this truck to be a ghost in your garage. I gave it to you because I knew one day you'd need to get your hands dirty to find your way back to yourself. By now, you've probably seen every bolt and every wire. You've seen where I messed up a weld in 78 and where I patched the radiator in 92. You've seen the miles. Don't be afraid to change things, son. A truck is like a man. It needs a fresh start every now and then. Put your own touch on it. Make it yours, not just mine. Take care of your mother, keep an eye on Anna, and remember what I told you under that chassis. The work is the reward. I'm proud of the man you are, even more than I was proud of this Chevy the day I bought it. I'll see you at the finish line. Love, Pops. John closes his eyes and presses the letter to his forehead. The silence in the garage isn't empty anymore. It's full. The ghost isn't haunting the truck. He's cheering for the rebuild. John tucks the letter into his shirt pocket, right over his heart. He stands up, grabs the wrench, and looks at the cab with a new kind of fire in his eyes. He isn't just fixing a truck for his dad anymore. He's building it for the man his dad knew he could be. The garage is transformed. The once silent 72 is now a bare frame sitting on jack stands. The black and white body panels are leaning against the wall, stripped of 50 years of road grime and the bruises of time. A fine layer of sanding dust, the gray snow of a restoration, covers every surface, including John's eyelashes. The garage is hazy with the fine gray powder of sanded primer. The 72 is a hollow shell, its rib cage open and waiting. A small transistor radio sits on the workbench, competing with the hum of the overhead fan. John is leaning over the empty engine bay, his fingers trembling. His hands are raw, the skin worn thin from weeks of block sanding those long, sweeping fenders until the steel felt like polished silk. Suddenly, the radio switches tracks. A low acoustic guitar intro fills the room, the song Dale used to whistle while he timed the carb. Anna walks into the garage, her boots crunching on the dried overspray. She stops dead in her tracks when she hears the music. She sees John standing there, perfectly still, silhouetted against the shop lights. "Hey, John." She pauses, the song hitting her too. "John, are you—" "Oh, John, it's okay." John doesn't look up. He's staring into the empty space where the 402 belongs, his chest heaving. "That song? I was out here with Pops. right before he got real sick. He was showing me how to gap the plugs, and he was humming that. It got me, Anna. John is frozen over the engine bay, his hands gripping the frame rails so hard his knuckles are white. He's staring at the empty space where the heart of the truck used to be, his chest hitching with a breath he can't quite catch. Anna walks right into the cloud of primer dust. She doesn't care about her clean clothes or the grit settling in her hair. She reaches out and pulls John into a hard, fierce hug. John, voice choked, physically recoiling. Anna, watch out. The dust. I'm covered in it. You'll get it all over you. Anna, tightening her grip, her voice firm and unwavering. John, hush. Just hush. Hug me. John finally stops fighting. He collapses into his sister's shoulder, his forehead resting against her. His eyes are wet, the tears carving clean tracks through the gray, sanding dust on his cheeks. He pulls back just an inch, looking around the hazy garage with a shaky, watery laugh. There sure is a lot of dust in here. It's getting in my eyes. Softly, holding his gaze. John, it's okay to miss him. You don't have to be the strongest man in the world today. You're allowed to just be his son. John wipes his face with a ragged sleeve, leaving a long, jagged streak of primer gray across his skin. He looks at the truck, then back at Anna. For the first time since the teardown started, the work doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like a conversation. John, I just want to get it right, Anna. I want him to see it and know I listened. He looks like a soldier in the middle of a war, but for the first time in weeks, his eyes are clear. John, looking at the empty engine bay, he's not in the song, is he? He's in the work. Anna, he's in both. Now come on. Mom's got lemonade inside. Take 5 minutes, John. The truck isn't going anywhere. John, look at me. If you need anything, please tell me, even if it's just a hug. The delivery truck rumbles up the driveway. It's the transmission, rebuilt and tightened up, ready to handle the torque of that big block. John feels a surge of adrenaline. The breakdown is over. The resurrection is beginning. Hey, sis, I gotta get back to work. Love ya. Looking at the crates of new trim and the shining chrome bumpers. I couldn't save the original grill, Dad. The pits were too deep. But I found a new old stock one. It's perfect. It's going to look like the day you walked into Miller Chevrolet. John spends 3 days in the makeshift plastic booth he built. When he lays down the final clear coat on the black and white two-tone, the reflection is so sharp he can see the tears in his own eyes. The 402 is on the stand, the head's polished, the 4-barrel carb rebuilt with surgical precision. It's no longer a smoking engine, it's a masterpiece. He spends hours on the small things, the door handles, the window cranks, the CST emblems. If he couldn't polish the original to a mirror shine, he replaced it with the best money could buy. As the truck starts to look like a vehicle again, John starts to feel like himself again. The weight of the truck isn't a burden anymore. By touching every part, he's realized that his dad didn't give him a museum piece to be afraid of. He gave him a project to finish. It's Sunday morning time for a drive. You walk out to the driveway. The black and white paint is still deep and glossy. You climb into the driver's seat, the same seat where you once sat in the middle, kicking your legs. You slide the key into the ignition. You pump the gas pedal once, just like he taught you, and turn the key. The 4-barrel carb gulps air, and the big block roars to life with that unmistakable rhythmic thrum. It's a sound that says, I'm still here. You look over at the passenger seat. It's empty, but you can almost feel the weight of him there, leaning back, listening to the timing. The garage is a cathedral of chrome and steel. The 402 big block is back in its cradle, painted that perfect factory orange, every wire tucked and every hose brand new. The black and white two-tone paint is so deep it looks like you could reach your hand right into it. You're leaning over the fender, tightening the last bolt on the alternator. Your hands are stained with the same grease Dale's were back in '72. You're exhausted, your back aches, and for a second, you lean your forehead against the cool metal of the hood. You can almost feel a heavy, calloused hand rest on your shoulder, telling you the timing is just right. A pair of small heels clicks on the concrete. Anna walks in, now a young woman but still carrying that same playful spirit. She sees you leaning there, your face streaked with sweat and carbon. Anna, softly. "Hey, mechanic." She reaches up with the hem of her sleeve and wipes a smudge of grease from your cheek, just like she used to do with her sand shovel when she was little. "It's okay, John. Mom and we love you so much, and we know he's right here. He's in every part you touched." John looks at her, and the weight of the years, the loss, the pride, the hard work, finally breaks through. John pulls his sister into a hug, and for a long minute, the only sound in the garage is the two of you, crying for the man who started it all. Later that afternoon, the sun is hitting the driveway. John polished the chrome until it glows. He pulled up to the front porch and hit the horn, that familiar, bold Chevy blast. Mom steps out. She stops at the top of the stairs, her hand over her mouth. To her, it isn't 2026 anymore. It's 1972 at Miller Chevrolet. The truck looks, shines, and smells exactly like the day Dale brought her home in it. As you help her into the high vinyl seat, she inhales. That scent of fresh upholstery and a hint of the new car magic. But then, her eyes drift to the center of the dashboard. Mounted right above the AM/FM radio is a small, elegant brass placard. It catches the sunlight. "To Dale, my pops. The strongest man I know. Miss you and love you." Penny's hand trembles as she runs her fingers over the engraved letters. She looks at you, then at Anna in the middle of the seat, and finally out over that long black and white hood. Whispering, "He'd say you got the timing perfect, John. Absolutely perfect." John slides into the driver's seat, pump the pedal once, and bring the 402 to life. As you pull out toward the car show, the dual exhaust echoes off the houses on Maple Street, a roar of triumph that tells the whole neighborhood that Dale's legacy isn't just a memory. It's back on the road. The sun is high over the fairgrounds, glinting off acres of polished lacquer and over-the-top chrome. John is walking between Penny and Anna, his hands deep in his pockets. He's still got a bit of grease under his fingernails that wouldn't scrub off, a mark of the trade that Dale would have recognized instantly. They pass a row of six-figure trailer queens, trucks that have never seen a gravel road or a heavy load. Anna keeps looking back over her shoulder at their 72, then at the competition. Nudging John's arm, her eyes wide. "John, look at some of these. They're nice, but they don't have the soul yours does. You're going to win this thing, I just know it." Shaking his head, a small, humble smile tugging at his mouth. No way, Anna. Look at that Chevelle over there. That paint job cost more than our house. It looks nice, but there is no way our short bed is as show as some of these rigs here." Mom is squeezing John's hand. "Your father always said a truck is meant to be driven, not just looked at. You brought the life back into that steel, John. That's a prize in itself." John, looking back at the black and white 72. "I'm just happy to have it out in the sunlight again. I'm happy other people can see it and enjoy it. If they see a bit of pops when they walk by, well, that's the only win I'm looking for." John feels the weight of the 402 key in his pocket. He doesn't feel like a contestant. He feels like a caretaker. The announcer taps the microphone, the sound echoing across the grass. Announcer, "All right, folks. The judges have made their calls, but now for the one that matters most. This year, we had over 5,000 ballots cast by the fans, and for the People's Choice Award, it wasn't even close. The trophy goes to the black and white 1972 Chevy shortbed entered in honor of Dale." The crowd erupts. It isn't just a polite clap, it's a roar. People had been walking by all day, reading that placard on the dash and seeing the love poured into every inch of that steel. Penny, clutching John's arm, tears streaming down her face. "John, did you hear him?" They said his name! Anna, jumping up, cheering. That's Dad's truck! That's our truck! Anna is hugging John, still screaming, Yee-ha! John stands there, stunned. He's looking at the trophy, but in his mind, he's looking at the garage floor on Maple Street. He's looking for a nod of approval from a man who isn't there, but then he hears his mother's voice. Stop looking for him in the sky, son. Look at the truck. This is perfect. Your dad would be so proud he'd be busting his buttons. You didn't just rebuild a truck, you brought him home. As the crowd starts to swarm around the Chevy to take pictures, a young woman, about John's age, steps out from the group. She has a smudge of something on her hand and a look of genuine awe as she stares at the 4-barrel carb. Samantha. I've been staring at this 402 for 20 minutes. Most people don't know how to tune these anymore. Is it yours? John looks at her, then back at the placard on the dash, then at his mom, who gives him a tiny, knowing wink. John. It was my dad's. I'm the one keeping the maintenance up. Sam, smiling, holding out a hand that has a faint, familiar smudge of grease on the thumb. Well, you did an incredible job. Truly. I'm Sam. My dad is down at the end of the row in a wheelchair. We're working on a 71 Chevelle together. It's been a long road, but we're getting there. John shakes her hand. Her grip is firm, the hand of someone who knows how to hold a torque wrench. Sam. I think my dad has the same motor, the 402 big block. He's been having some trouble getting the idle just right, and honestly, hearing yours pull into the lot today, it sounded like music. I think he'd love to see your timing set up and maybe talk shop for a minute. That's only if you have some time. John looks over at Penny and Anna. Penny gives him a small, watery smile and a nod. She sees the cycle starting all over again, a mechanic helping a mechanic, a family helping a family. His voice steady, a new light in his eyes. I'd be honored to. My pops, he always said the work is the reward, but helping someone else keep theirs on the road, that's the real point of having a truck like this. At the far end of the show lot, the shadows are long now, stretching across the grass. Sitting there is a 71 Chevelle SS, its deep cowl induction hood open, revealing a big block that matches John's own heart. John and Sam walk up to the car. Richard is sitting in his wheelchair, his hands resting on his knees, his eyes sharp as he watches them approach. John leans over the fender, his eyes widening as he spots the shifter inside the car. Whistling low. Oh, dang, a true supersport. And with a 4-speed, that is a beautiful setup. Smiling, gesturing to her father. John, this is Richard, or just Rich for short. Richard, nodding, a glimmer of pride in his eyes. How you doing, young man? My daughter and I watched you drive in earlier. I gave her a nudge and told her, now that is a 402, I'm sure of it. Beaming. He's right, Daddy. His truck just took the People's Choice Award, extending a hand. Well, son, you did real good. That's a lot of engine to keep honest. As John reaches out to shake his hand, Rich suddenly pulls back, a deep, rattling cough shaking his chest. John freezes. He's seen that cough before. He's heard that sound in the quiet of his own garage years ago. He looks at Sam, then back at Rich, and he sees the same tired but fierce spirit he saw in Dale. John, voice soft, filled with a sudden deep respect. Sir, if it's okay, or even possible, after we get you home, and again, only if it's okay with you, could I take your daughter out for a drive? Rich catches his breath, wiping his mouth with a handkerchief. He looks at John, then at the black and white Chevy parked down the row, and finally at Sam. Rich, with a faint, knowing smirk. You can, but I'm a shop manager at heart, son. She has to be back here before 10 p.m., no exceptions. Straightening his shoulders, nodding firmly. Yes, sir, 10 p.m. sharp. John looks at Sam, and for the first time in 10 years, he isn't looking back at what he lost. He's looking at what he's found. The engine of his life isn't just idling anymore, it's finally in gear. A bright, clear Saturday morning on the lawn of the old family house. The grass is neatly trimmed, just the way Dale used to keep it. Parked side by side are the two crown jewels of the family, the black and white '72 Chevy short bed and the '71 Chevelle SS. The chrome on both cars is blinding in the sun. They aren't just vehicles. They are the anchors of the family. John is standing by the tailgate of the truck, a polishing rag in his hand, but his eyes are on the porch. Sam walks out, moving a little slower these days. She's wearing one of John's old shop shirts, the sleeves rolled up. She rests her hand on her stomach, a quiet, protective gesture that Penny once made in the middle of that same bench seat. Smiling, leaning against the fender of the Chevelle. "You've been out here since 6, John. I think the wax is going to fall off if you rub it any harder." Wiping a stray smudge from the '72's bumper. "Just making sure they're ready. Your dad and my pops, they'd be pitching a fit if they saw a water spot on these today." It's been a hard few months. Losing Richard so soon after the car show felt like a cruel repeat of history, but John knew exactly what to do. He didn't let the Chevelle sit in the dark and rust. He moved it into his shop, he kept the oil fresh, and he kept Sam's spirits up the only way he knew how, by keeping the engine running. Sam. "I was looking at the '71 this morning. I can still hear him telling me to watch the torque on those head bolts. Sometimes I think he's still sitting in the passenger seat." Walking over and putting his arm around her. "He is. And so is mine. They're probably arguing over whose timing was tighter right now." John looks at the two machines, then back at the house where Penny and Anna are bringing out a pitcher of lemonade. "You know, we're going to need a bigger garage, and maybe a couple more car seats," laughing softly. "A car seat in a big block Chevelle? My dad would love that. He'd say, 'Make sure it's bolted to the frame, son.'" "John, that's exactly what I'm going to do. We're going to teach this little one the same way we were taught. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and never, ever let the maintenance slide." You see the '72 and the '71, two legends of the road, standing guard over a new family. The 402 heartbeats are quiet for now, but the legacy is louder than ever. The road ahead isn't just open, it's paved with the love of two fathers and the strength of the son who remembered their lessons.
Hi everyone, my name is Samantha. I want to thank you all so much for watching and listening to this story. I'd like to start by saying that the events in this story are entirely fictional. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel.